All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. It is a very interesting night out tonight. Now, I woke up, it was a beautiful day in the city, totally clear skies, gorgeous day in Manhattan. But then, all of a sudden, I'd say probably right around 5 o'clock, we had this crazy sort of overcast push in, and it turns out that New York City in general, and pretty much the majority of the tri-state area, is totally engulfed and covered in the smoke from the Canadian wildfires. Really crazy. I mean, the city almost kind of looked apocalyptic in a way, looked very strange, but at the same time it looked kind of gorgeous and beautiful, particularly during sunset. So with that said, everybody, it's probably going to be a shorter than normal live stream, probably about an hour. Air quality is pretty poor, so we'll have to, just take you guys over back to Manhattan and, sort of call it a day. But tonight we are going to be talking about the breaking news as it relates to the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. Gary Gensler, who is the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, comes out with a lawsuit pretty much across the board at all the major cryptocurrency exchanges, most notably Binance, and then here in the United States, Coinbase, which is Brian Armstrong's company. Now, I think we deserve to pat ourselves on the back a little bit here on the stream, because we sort of talked about this over the last year. Now, I am a big supporter of the blockchain cryptocurrency movement, particularly as it relates to Bitcoin. However, I think the vast majority, as we've said many times, of these alternative coins, like the altcoins, we have advised to stay away from these because they could be classified as securities. And I think the Securities and Exchange Commission up to this point has done a pretty poor job with that clarification. However, you don't have to be an expert in securities law to kind of understand that all of these tokens or these alternative cryptocurrencies are essentially unregistered and unlicensed securities. So essentially, what these lawsuits are suggesting is that these broker-dealers, such as Binance and Coinbase, has been selling or soliciting these unlicensed and unregistered securities, such as, a couple to name off the top of my head, like Cardano, I think is one. The ticker is ADA for that. And this is really the big reason why I've stayed away or chose to stay away from these alternative coins, because the SEC has refused to provide any sort of regulatory clarity around that. So I would say, it is best to, sort of steer clear. I think the good news that's probably going to come out of all of this is some sort of concrete legislation as it relates to cryptocurrencies, so everybody starts to play on the same playing field, right? And I think a lot of the nefarious actors are going to be driven out of the space, and it'll be a more well-regulated industry. So we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. We'll quickly take a peek at markets. If you look at ticker symbol SPX, the S&P 500 was pretty much flat today. It was up about 10 points. If you look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the Dow 30, we were also flat, up about 10 points. And then last but not least, the NDX, which is the NASDAQ 100, was flat as well, up about 1 point. Now, we'll take a quick peek at crude oil futures, ticker symbol CL. That was flat as well. We're trading at about $71 a barrel there. If we go to cnbc.com/bonds, we'll take a look at the yield curve. So if we look at treasury yields, the 1-month treasury is yielding about 5.131%. The 2-year treasury is yielding 4.491%. And that 10-year, right, so the spread between the 10 and the 2s, the 10-year is yielding 3.668%. Lastly, Let's take a look at the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage in the United States. Mortgage rates actually ticked up a little bit today, coming in at 6.899%, up a few basis points from 6.81% yesterday. So let me go ahead and say hello to everybody in the chat, and we'll get started. We are in Dumbo, Brooklyn, by the way, everybody. So we're starting off the stream in Brooklyn, New York. We are going to be walking across the Brooklyn Bridge tonight, back to Manhattan. All right, let me put away my laptop, and I'll be with you guys in a moment. Ooh, and once again, everybody, you could actually taste the fire. It smells like a campfire out here. It is not good air quality. Really, really horrible. Anyway, welcome to Brooklyn, everybody. Joe C is here. Says, Tom, does it smell like smoke? Oh, yeah. It smells like smoke heavy. Dwayne is here. Says, greetings from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. What's up, Dwayne? Always a pleasure to see you here. Thank you for joining us tonight. GG NYC. Good to see you. I see Troy Atman. Meld is here. Good to see you. It says, yeah, it'll be walks and wheezing tonight. Now, Connie Ruiz is here. What's up, Connie? Richard Scott says, good evening, everybody. Good to see you guys. Let's see who else we have. We have Flat Smack in the chat. Mag is here. Says, I have an indoor air purifier. Definitely going to come in handy here. Connie A says, Tom, it's real bad here in Binghamton, New York. Yeah, and the smoke smell is very present. We'll just say that. Very, very present. So we'll see if we can see the skyline of Manhattan, lower Manhattan. Now, the bridge we're looking at right in front of us is the Manhattan Bridge. This is all of the smoke and the smog. If you didn't have any of the smoke from Canada, this would actually be a picture-perfect clear night in New York. Beautiful views of not only the Manhattan Bridge from here, but the Brooklyn Bridge. You can kind of see how hazy it is. In the distance, right under the Manhattan Bridge, you'll see the Brooklyn Bridge. I'll sort of try to pan over to the side. And if you notice, you could barely make out the Empire State Building. Look at that. It's so smoggy, you could barely make it out, but it's right there. And as we pan the camera a little bit further over to the right, in the distance, that is the Williamsburg Bridge. So still the views are pretty good. Not too bad. Hey, Deborah says, Tom, you should have been there an hour ago. Skyline covered in smoke. I live 2 blocks away. Yeah, Deborah, I was in Midtown Manhattan. I had to take the train to Brooklyn. I had to drop off something for a client. And the sunset was a little wild today. It was, you really couldn't see the sunset. It was just like this hazy, it almost kind of looked apocalyptic in a way, didn't it? Especially in Manhattan. If you guys check out the video I posted on my Twitter profile, if you look at Walks Wall Street on Twitter, the video I posted at Billionaire's Row is wild. Really, really crazy. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It seemed like it just seemed like the fire was literally in our backyard. Let me see if I could zoom in on the Empire State Building for you guys. Hey, DJ reviewing under 2, what's up? You could barely see it. You could see the spire in the distance lighting up. Nathaniel Sasso says, why are you outside? We're streaming. We're doing the live stream. We're talking about the financial markets. We're talking about the SEC. Really throwing the hammer down on a lot of those exchanges like Coinbase and Binance. Now, does anybody also remember we were talking about how we made a little bit of a prediction that a lot of, I should say, celebrities that were being paid millions of dollars to endorse these cryptocurrencies, I think it's going to come back and bite them. You know where. right? The SEC is going to come down extremely hard on this stuff, right? And we've sort of explained it. You know, a lot of, I would say, founders of these cryptocurrency projects thought they could sort of get around essentially soliciting these securities. Oh, look at how much the tide is coming in. You can kind of see all the water pushing inward to Brooklyn. But I mean, the big story is like, hey, just because, you know, it's called a coin and not a stock, a lot of people thought that they could skate a lot of those regulations. But if you really think about it, essentially what these alternative cryptocurrencies are just software companies, right? If you think about, you know, a bunch from like Solana, Cardano, quite literally, they are just software companies. And when they do their ICO, which is the acronym for initial coin offering, right, as opposed to IPO, you're distributing tokens or shares in that particular project, right? And that is something that needs to be regulated by the SEC. And individuals thought that they could just do this freely because you could just paint a name on a cryptocurrency. And unfortunately, I think a lot of celebrities, you know, some of it was, you know, malpractice, but I think a lot of them were just duped and they didn't understand a lot of this stuff, right? Like you saw football players like Tom Brady, you know, pushing a lot of this stuff. And, you know, I think the vast majority of that, you can see the Hudson Yards in the distance here too. I think the vast majority of that wasn't malicious in its intent. I think just, you know, these celebrities are not sort of savvy on what's going on, and they were duped by these, you know, exchange creators and founders and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out now with the SEC. I believe there was just some news that came out maybe an hour before we started this live stream. This is an awesome shot, look at that, of the One World Trade Center amongst the Canadian smoke. Yeah, I think the SEC is going to freeze assets of Binance. So all US assets are going to be frozen, it looks like. Yeah, crypto memes is FTX. FTX was another one of those. Yeah, Ryan Beck's is so cool, the contrast between the smoke and the buildings. Yeah, it's insane. Look at this. You could see this is all grass, like sort of like wetland area. All of the light that is ricocheting off the water. And then you see the World Trade Center in the distance. We're standing right under the Manhattan Bridge. Brick stone walls, the celebrities chase the paycheck. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, a lot of this cryptocurrency stuff is coming to roost. I mean, during the pandemic, a lot of this stuff, I mean, talk about a euphoric, sort of like irrational exuberance, right? We always talk about that terminology. That was just like a free-for-all money grab. And a lot of this stuff turned out to be frauds, right? A lot of these alternative coins. But I think the SEC is to blame as well. Look at the subway coming over the bridge. That is such a cool shot. Wow, look at that. Yeah, so, I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but I also think the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, Gary Gensler, should also share in the blame, right? Because it is their job to provide clarity with this stuff to protect consumers. Hey, Ken, what's up? All right, this is a really cool shot here. wait for the train to go by and then I'll finish my point. Now, here's the thing. It's the SEC's job to protect consumers. So that means they have to put out regulatory clarity for cryptocurrencies. But the is it's always in hindsight. Never once has the government or government entities done anything proactively to sort of American investor. We'll try to walk further down this way. Usually it buffers a lot under the bridge. We'll try to get out of this buffer zone. Hey, Steve O'Mac, what's up? Good to see you. Yeah, I think there may be a dead zone under the bridge. We'll see if it gets any better the closer we come over here. Let me know in the chat when we're back. I may have to maybe turn off my Wi-Fi potentially. Yeah, so I mean, the only other thing I'll say about it is if you really think about any type of regulatory oversight, it always comes after retail gets burned and loses a lot of money. It's the same thing that happened in the 2008 financial crisis, right? Once everybody lost their homes and all these, homes went back to the banks, that's when the regulators stepped in, and put an end to these really egregious practices of writing these subprime mortgage and all these collateralized debt obligations and the like. Hey, Robert Parker, thank you so much for your very kind $5 donation. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the views on this very, very smoky night in New York. But, I think it's just like how the regulators stepped in after the American people, right, like me and you, got smoked out in 2008. I think they're doing the same exact thing here on the SEC side as it relates to cryptocurrencies, right? They allowed all of these pump and dumpers, all of these scam companies to solicit these securities freely to the populace. And once everybody lost a lot of money, once a lot of fraudulent exchanges started to go belly up, that's when the SEC steps in here and tries to make a real change after everybody already loses their shirt. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really want to dump on Gary Gensler too much. However, I will say this. I think it's important for government regulation to be a little bit more proactive than reactive, right? Because that essentially just perpetuates the cycle for opportunists, to jump on an opportunity and really exploit it. But hey, TC is here. FredX, what's up? Sparks Carnival says CNBC had a great story on AI, an AI fintech startup using machine learning to turn institutional grade data into insights for common investors. Wow. I'll have to check that out. Hey, John Lee says, hey, Tom, this market refuses to go down. Very strong across the board. Thoughts on this rally? Yeah, well, I think a lot of people have been caught on the wrong side of the trade here, right? There's very, very high short interest across the board, especially by institutional investors. Now, additionally, what you've had is amazing strength in I would say the top 10 stocks in the S&P 500, right? So if you look at the indice, like the S&P, for example, a really good visual of this, everybody, is if you go to a website called slickcharts.com. Once again, the website is called slickcharts.com. Once you go there, click S&P 500, and it'll give you a breakdown by market cap, the weighting of all the companies within the indice. And what you'll notice is, if you extract the top 10 stocks in the S&P 500, the index would actually be down on the year by a couple percentage points, right? So the S&P has had a really good year so far, up well over 7%. From the lows, I think the NASDAQ has rallied about 20%. But if you take out, for example, the Apples of the world, the Microsofts, the Metas, the Alphabet, and Amazon, the market's actually down. So you're seeing this really big bifurcation of the market where the big mega cap tech stocks are really carrying this index higher. Now, if you look at if you look at the weighting, I think Apple now makes up over 7% of the entire index. That's a massive, massive weighting. And I think the top 10 stocks in the S&P 500 now make up about 30% of the entire index, which is crazy, just 30 stocks. Raw Green Tea says, hey Tom, born and raised in New York City. Left for good in 2020, however, your genuine passion, love for the appreciation of our beautiful city. Hey, thank you, I appreciate it. Hopefully you come back soon. Even if it's just for a visit, we'd love to have you back, my friend. Ryan Beck says, futures dumps should stay open. Hey, Connie A. This is good to see you all the way from Tennessee. You still have people eating outside and hanging out. We are in Dumbo, Brooklyn, for those of you who are just joining. Wow, Pixelogic says, Tom, the Yankee game is on and you can see the haze from Yankee Stadium. Yeah, I mean, all of the smoke from Canada has descended over New York City, and it just moved in. It moved in out of nowhere, too. I would say it moved in starting around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll take a look at the I'm blanking on the name of this thing. Hey, Wendy England is celebrating, survived my first bout of the big virus. Hey, Wendy England. God bless. Please feel better soon, and thank you for your donation. We appreciate it very, very much. Hopefully you're feeling better and staying healthy. That's what we want. Gary Carpenter, ABX Girl, is here from the Bronx. Good to see you. Hey, Deborah, this is Tom. Thank you for streaming Dumbo, Brooklyn. Thank you for your very kind $15 donation. I think this is your neck of the woods. Beautiful neighborhood, by the way. This is a great shot of the Brooklyn Bridge. You could barely see the American flag flying at the top, too. It's so hazy out. This is Jane's Carousel. I think it is closed, but it still looks pretty nice. Hey, hang with Mark Mom. Good to see you. Sparks Carnival says the new FANG. Yeah, Microsoft, Nvidia, Alphabet, Meta. Now, Sparks Carnival, I want your opinion on this, and everybody else in the chat. Obviously, yesterday was a big day. If you watched the Walks on Wall Street live stream yesterday, the entire time we pretty much talked about AI, augmented reality, virtual reality, because Apple released their VR goggles. Now, I went home last night and I started to binge watch all of the marketing videos that Apple put out. And I sent a tweet out late last night. If you guys want to check it out, you could follow @WalksWallStreet on Twitter. And here's what I'd have to say. It is of my opinion, and let me know if you guys agree or disagree, that Apple by far blows the competition out of the water as it relates to marketing. If you go to Apple's website right now and you watch the promotional video or the demo for the new VR headset, it is unbelievable. It is unreal. And one of the things I wrote about in the tweet is that you could have the best product in the world. You know, it could do all the bells and whistles. It could beat out the competition on paper. But if your marketing is bottom of the barrel horrible, nobody's going to know about your product and nobody's going to buy it. And I said, Meta, which is Mark Zuckerberg's company, has invested so much time, energy, and money into their headset, and I don't even really know what it does, to be honest, guys. Do you? Right? I mean, if you're really honest with yourself and say, what is the capabilities that the Oculus headset from Meta, what can it do? I've never seen a promotional video for it. I've never seen a commercial for it. I've never seen any marketing around it. And the only thing I've seen are these like two-dimensional sort of cringy, you know, outlines of Mark Zuckerberg like playing tennis or something. But the Apple promotional video for this VR headset was just unbelievable. Now, here's the catch. Is the user experience actually going to be what it looks like in the promotional video? That I'm skeptical of, because it was so cool looking and it was so unbelievable looking that I'm like, the user experience can't be that good. Does anybody have any takeaways from that? Maybe you disagree, maybe you agree. Or have you seen the promotional video on Apple's website? Hey, Bob says if Apple took a rock and put a logo on it, everybody would buy it. Yeah, it's branding, definitely a great brand for sure. The Meta Quest. Yes, Jafet Perez, exactly. Michael Joseph says you look at a folder with a headset and pinch your fingers to open. Yeah, it's amazing. The thing is so cool. Paul says, Tom, who do you think Apple is marketing this new headset to at this price? It doesn't feel like an everyday man's device. That is true, but here's what I would say is the target audience. I would say the target audience right now is not the average consumer. And Casey Neistat actually put out a tweet yesterday and summed this up perfectly. Apple priced this at a very premium price point, $3,500, right? The only people who are going to, because you got to think about it from a gross margin in hardware, right? It's a very slim margin software for this. I mean, those are like 90% plus margins. So that should be able to subsidize the cost of the device and, you know, attract more people to purchase the device. That's just what I'm thinking. Well, let's try to move out of here. Sorry about that, we got some buffering. John says what Apple didn't show either was the long tethered battery pack. Almost seemed intentional because it looked incredibly bulky. Well, they did show that in the video. But my critique on that is the battery life's only 2 hours. That's kind of ridiculous, a 2-hour battery life, but again, it's a first generation product. I don't know, let me catch up on some of the comments. We're here under the Brooklyn Bridge. Hey, Elliott Wave Review says, Tom, be careful, buddy. Zuck is now a, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. That is wild. And did you guys see, speaking of that, there was so much controversy about Mark Zuckerberg completing this challenge. I forget what the challenge was called. Oh, look at that beagle. Hold on, we gotta get this. I have a beagle. Anyway, so there was so much, we're gonna head over the Brooklyn Bridge. I got to take you guys back to Manhattan. So there was so much controversy about Mark Zuckerberg completing this challenge in under 40 minutes. So the challenge is you bang out a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 100 dips, I think, something like that, and then run another mile in under 40 minutes. And everybody was like, there's no way that Mark Zuckerberg could do that, right? I disagree. I actually disagree wholeheartedly with that. I would actually be surprised if Mark Zuckerberg couldn't do that challenge, because you got to understand resourcefulness. And Mark Zuckerberg is one of the richest men on the planet. So it's not like me going to the gym in the morning and trying to bang out 100 pull-ups, right? He has the best trainers in the world. He has the best nutritionists in the world, right? He's probably on all sorts of, performance enhancing things, right? Rightfully so. I think he's almost 40 years old. So of course, he's a multi-billionaire, mega billionaire, and he's getting trained, and he probably has the top nutrition. So I think Mark Zuckerberg is 100% would be able to do that. Anyway, a little bit off topic. UniJ22, what's up? Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. We're coming up on the Brooklyn ice cream factory here. But those are my thoughts essentially around the new Apple's VR headset. I just think Apple is just master marketers. If you've watched the video, it's just unbelievable. It literally makes you want to buy the product. I don't think I've ever seen one piece of marketing around the Meta's Quest headset, and that's where the whole company's focus is. Gina Thomas says, Tom, you are way too young to be so cynical about technology. I'm not. I'd probably say I'm the most optimistic technology bull going. This is another good shot of the hazy sky over Lower Manhattan. You can see the South Street Seaport right here. Cosmo says, are you going to get one of those headsets? Probably not. I think I'll try it out first, because, imagine FaceTime on that. Imagine, doing all of your financial models on that thing. It's going to look like you're in the future. So I'll say this. If the user experience is actually what it looks like in the demo, then maybe. I think there's about a 70% chance I may get it. That's what I'd say. Hey, Justin S. says their marketing has created the Apple brand. Remember, Apple almost went bankrupt in the 1990s. That's a good point. Oh, look at this. Check this out. You could just barely see the Empire in the background. This is under the Brooklyn Bridge. Hey, Just the Guy is here. What's up? Once again, this is the Brooklyn Bridge. Gina Thomas says, have you tried the Quest? It will be amazing to you. I've not. Have you tried it? And see, that's the thing, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think Mark Cuban said this actually one time on Shark Tank, so I'm ripping this off from him. He said you could have the best product with the best capabilities that beat out the competition, but if nobody knows about it and if nobody knows what it can do, it's not worth anything. And Mark Zuckerberg changed the entire name of his company to Meta to get everybody rallying behind this sort of headset. But I've never seen one marketing video on it. I've never seen one commercial about it. I've never seen one demo about it. maybe it's just me. I mean, I tend to be pretty in tune with this stuff. Apple's was pretty impressive. Apple's was pretty impressive. All right, so we're gonna double back here. We're gonna go all the way to the entrance of the Brooklyn Bridge, and then we are gonna walk you guys all the way across back to Manhattan. Just stumbled upon says, how's the smoky sky conditions? Not gonna lie, it was a lot worse before, like a lot worse. In Brooklyn, it's actually really nice. It's kind of windy. I think it's blowing a lot of that smoke away. It's kind of nice out now. XTS says Apple is going to blow the Oculus away. I think that's what I'm betting on too. I think that's what I'm betting on too. And another way I think about it is this, and I want your thoughts on this. People will automatically choose, in my opinion, right? I could be wrong, but people are automatically going to choose the Apple's VR/AR headset over Meta's because of the seamless operating system. How many of you in the chat operate over iOS? I would guess probably 70% of this chat has an iPhone. So if you have an iPhone and then you have a Mac and you keep all of your photos, you keep all of your videos, you keep all of your work stuff, your spreadsheets, everything that you do operates on iOS, right? Additionally, think about all of the services you pay for every single month. I think I pay over like $35 a month between extra iCloud storage, Apple Music, and all these other things. So the integration is going to be completely seamless. So if you're going to invest the money to get one of those sort of headsets, you're going to want to be able to have a seamless user experience. And if you already live, work, and play within the iOS ecosystem, well, why would I pivot to something else entirely and go with a Meta headset? I don't know. All right, let's catch up on some of the chats. This is Dumbo Brooklyn here. Yeah, Ken Glass is Apple VR is a rich person toy. I think prices will come down. Technology tends to be very deflationary. Mark Mom says the next iPhone coming out will be amazing. Better camera and audio. Gina Thomas says they changed that now. Photos from around New York. Ken Glass says I'm an Android guy. Wow, we actually have a lot of Android viewers here. Or Android users, I should say. Love is Kind says, yep, Apple uses their ecosystem to control their consumers and the way they spend. Yeah, and another thing, I'm seeing a lot of comments, and these are good comments about the Meta's product is cheaper. But when has Apple ever been the cheapest option on the market? Right? And I think this is actually a good lesson in marketing and sales. The cheapest doesn't always mean the best. Consumers, many cases, if the product is built right and marketed correctly, it could be an inferior product on the face of it, but people will actually spend more money just because of big brand recognition, right? I think a basic example would be like a Starbucks coffee or a Dutch Brothers coffee, right? Now, I think Dan Sang, I think it was Dan, right? Sent me a video. No, not a video. A picture. This is Grimaldi's, by the way. Very good pizza shop on Front Street. Of a large Starbucks iced coffee now, I think is over $5. Right? Now, does that mean the coffee is better than the coffee from a local coffee shop where an iced coffee may be $2, or maybe even the iced coffee you make at home for 30 cents. No, arguing maybe the local coffee shop is better. But it's the experience, it's the brand, right? It's the iconic brand that Howard Schultz built. And it's also an experience and a place to go, right? A lot of people, especially in big cities like New York, go to these coffee shops to get work done, to meet with clients, to have business meetings, to go on their first dates, you name it. So the branding is everything. And Apple has never been the cheapest horse in the race, ever. If anything, they've priced their products at premium, and they never, ever, ever discount, ever. I used to work with CDW, which is one of the largest distributors of technology equipment, right? They don't even get a discount from Apple, and they sell a ton of Apple products, right? All of the major carriers, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, they don't even get a discount on Apple products, right? They sell it at cost. So Apple's really never been the cheapest horse in the race. So check this out, everybody. This is the traffic to get onto the Brooklyn Bridge. But we are going to go up a little bit more and then make a left and go to the walking path. Hey, the LT Prod says Facebook should have bought BlackBerry in 2010 and turned it into their own mobile OS. Wow. That's a good idea. Yeah, Sparks Carnival says millennials and Gen Z are moving to healthier behaviors. Like Celsius, it's up 35% year to date. Celsius is a publicly traded company, and a lot of analysts are modeling the stock to be very similar to that of Monster Beverage. Now, Monster Beverage is actually one of the greatest performing stocks in history, right? Many of you would think, oh no, it's Apple, oh it's Amazon. No. Monster Beverage is one of the greatest performing stocks in history since its IPO. And I believe Celsius is a Boca Raton, Florida-based company. It's sort of like an energy drink. I think we may have had this conversation before. It's good that Sparks Carnival brought this up. Has anybody in the chat seen Celsius, or do you drink their products? I think there's no sugar in it. I think it's very low sugar and all natural ingredients. And also, they just struck a distribution deal with Pepsi. So that's huge, if I'm not mistaken. So it has that going for it. I know, Dan Zhang. Oh, Bob Eves says Celsius is amazing. One of my good friends who runs a pretty decent-sized hedge fund has a huge position in that for a while now. I just stumbled upon, says I bought one recently, but I didn't drink it yet. Bob says I would recommend the non-carbonated mango. I actually really like carbonated stuff. I've been drinking that a lot lately. What are you guys' thoughts on like the LaCroix? I think I drink way too many of those. I love carbonated water for whatever reason. My friend turned me on to it. I mean, I probably drink about a gallon of carbonated water a week, to be totally honest. It's very, very addicting. Hey, Phil, says Tom, I tried Celsius recently. It was not good. It had an alcoholic taste to me. I'll stick with Monster. Wow. Okay, interesting. I did not know that. It had an alcoholic taste, really? That's surprising. Well, thank you for that feedback. Do you know which flavor did you try? Wow, alcoholic taste. That was surprising to read. Shady 901 says I don't like drinking water from a can. Laura M says, Tom, Saratoga carbonated water is the best. I know Razzle Dazzle 786 says I love drinking sparkling water. I mean, I was reading some articles about it, how you're not supposed to drink it, it's bad for you. I don't believe that. It's just water. It's just sparkling water. It's no big deal. But I mean, look, if you study these companies, we're about to walk on the Brooklyn Bridge, by the way. But Razzle Dazzle, good to see you. Hopefully you're fitting into New York City well. We're happy to have you here. We're very blessed to have you here in our great city. So thank you for coming. Now, you know, those have been some of the greatest stocks of all time, right? Monster Beverage, do some research on that. So there's a lot of companies right now, Celsius being one of them, that many equity research analysts on Wall Street are modeling the growth trajectory, of Celsius to say, hey, if Celsius could just have 1/3 of the success of Monster, you know, we could assign, you know, maybe a third of the valuation. It could trade at a similar multiple of the sales, a similar multiple of the earnings, right? All right, everybody, we are now on the Brooklyn Bridge. We checked out this brand new development the other day. Now imagine the views from this building, overlooking all of the Brooklyn Bridge, overlooking all of Lower Manhattan, as well as the One World Trade Center. And the view is actually a little bit obstructed tonight because of all the smoke from the wildfires in Canada. But still, even still, with all the hazy smoke, the views are amazing. Hey, Everything Miami is here. What's up? That's my favorite walkway. Good to see you. George says, Tom, it sounds like oil this summer will hit $100 a barrel. I don't know. I think I'm going to stick with no on that one. I could be wrong, but I've been very bearish oil ever since we hit the top at $130 a barrel. And I've also been very bearish the XLE. I have a very hard time believing that oil is going to go to $100 a barrel with China not having the big opening that we expected, right? Last week we got the China PMI manufacturing numbers out. China's in contraction, and many people on Wall Street and Main Street, including myself, thought that once the zero COVID policy was lifted in China, that you were going to have a huge economic boom over there in Asia. It's not what happened. Actually, the exact opposite. Very, very underwhelming. So if the second largest economy in the world is not firing on all cylinders, I have a very hard time believing that oil is going to go back to $100 a barrel. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I think as of recording this video tonight, we're trading at about $72 if you look at crude oil futures. Now, all the way down here, you could barely see it. This is the brand new Brooklyn Tower. It's actually in the same place as the old Dimes Saving Bank. It's pretty windy up here. Let me know if you guys can hear the wind in the microphone. I'm trying the best I can to cover it. Yeah, Cami, so I read all those stories too. Right? Saudi Arabia is going to cut production. They're not happy with Russia. I get that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe you guys are right. You probably will be right. We'll see. I just have a really hard time with the way the macroeconomic environment is churning out. Just think about it this way. On March 4th, I believe was the exact date, March 4th of 2022, I remember we were doing the live stream, we were walking up Madison Avenue, and everybody was just talking about, oh my God, analyst at Goldman Sachs says that oil is going to go to $250 a barrel. This is crazy. I would turn on CNBC. Oh, they have this guy from Piper Sandler is on. He said he's going to go to $250 a barrel. And I said, that is such nonsense. I almost cursed. I said, that is such nonsense. This is the top. This is the peak of peaks of peaks in the oil, in crude. Because when this happens every time, Wall Street needs the exit liquidity, right? So oftentimes what you'll see is they'll float out an analyst at Goldman Sachs who may have made a good call, 20 years ago. And they'll say, hey, the guy who predicted this is now making another prediction. And his prediction is that crude oil is going to go to $250 a barrel. They need to stir up the exit liquidity to get out of their positions. So whenever you see these hyperbolic, super bombastic, crazy price targets that are just not even based in reality, you can bet almost 100% that that is just Wall Street trying to stir up some exit liquidity to offload their positions. And ever since, and you guys could even look this up, look up the dates of some of the articles, right? Look up all of the articles about crude oil right around, March and April of 2022. Almost every article says that crude oil is going to go to like $250 a barrel. All these crazy things. And ever since then, we've corrected 50%, which is significant. Now, we may rally back to 100. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. But we'll see. Who knows? We'll see. I hope I'm right, because we need inflation to come down here in the United States. Hey, Sparks Carnival says WeWork was down 13% today alone. Top stockholders started to unload, causing panic. And I probably didn't help out either. I actually had to cancel my WeWork subscription, so I'm no longer working in a WeWork. Guys, check out these apartments here. Could you imagine living in one of these apartments? Amazing views of Manhattan. Look at that. Unbelievable. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams roughly 7 days a week, starting at 8:30, walking around New York City, talking about the financial markets, talking about New York City real estate, and we'd love to have you guys here. So this is 60 Water, Premier Rentals. I don't know, would you guys ever rent a space here? Assuming that those are ultra thick soundproof windows, I think I would. I mean, the views would be unbelievable. Hey, Greg Peters, this is Tom just tuning in. So I'm sure you talked about it, but how is the smoky air? Yeah, at 5 o'clock, it was a gorgeous day today in Manhattan. Absolutely gorgeous, picture perfect day. And then all of a sudden, right around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I mean, we had so much smoke roll in. It's actually dissipated a lot, if you could believe that, even though the screen and the skyline still looks awfully smoky. If you go to my Twitter page or if you go to my Instagram, I posted some videos of it. It was nuts. It was nuts. It sort of looked like an apocalyptic, almost like you were walking on Mars. It was really weird. Now, for some context here, if you remember our live stream from last week, you were able to see the Hudson Yards completely clear. You could barely make the Hudson sort of reddish glow to it. I think we got to keep moving. All right, I think we got to keep moving so it doesn't buffer. Wow, Matthew Ross says we had smoke in Wyoming a few weeks ago. Wow. What is that thing? All right, so we're about halfway across the bridge. Check this out, everybody. You could barely see one Vanderbilt. You could just barely see it. So this is the Empire State Building, one Vanderbilt in the Chrysler Building. It's so foggy you can't even see 432 Park Avenue. So 432 is totally hidden by the smoke. Hey, Hawaii, what's up? Good to see you. We are now on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. We are overlooking the Manhattan Bridge. This is that brand new Extel development, One Manhattan Square. It's an unbelievable building. Yikes, almost an accident on the Brooklyn Bridge. You could see the bike lane, how it's divided away from the cars. And there's the Statue of Liberty all the way in the distance. I know, Gina Thomas, if you come up here and you look down, the wooden planks are not the sturdiest, let me just say that. So this is where we just were. You could see the water taxi pulling in. But here's the traffic over the Brooklyn Bridge. This is going to the Brooklyn side. Now later in the week, We are going to get some important data as it relates to household net worth. And also consumer debt as it relates to credit card debt, home mortgage debt. And from the preliminary data that we have coming out, it seems as if credit card debt in the United States is set to hit yet another all-time record high. Now, this is really important to think about because the only thing that's really holding up the U.S. economy right now is the service side of the economy and consumer spending. So consumer spending has been really robust, and that shows from the ISM services PMI numbers that we got. It is so windy. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the week, Thursday, when we get that out. Hey, Matthew Ross says the Trade Center looks great, all lit up. It does. Sparks Carnival says, what happens to consumer spending once student loan repayments come back? Yeah, we briefly spoke about that yesterday. It's a really good point. Now, with the passage of this new debt ceiling bill, right? One of the stipulations is that both the interest and the payments are going to be reinstated. And I believe the average student loan balance in the United States is about $19,000. And the median student loan payment in the United States is right around $250. Hold on, I gotta put the camera down for a moment. It's so windy, I wanna make sure I cover the microphone. Stand by 1 second. Maybe this will be a little bit better. We'll see. To get us out of this buffering zone. Hey, Gina Thomas, thank you so much for your kind $10 donation. This is Tom. Be careful with your respiratory system out there. Thank you, Gina. I promise I'll be careful on this very hazy night. But thank you for your donation. Appreciate it. Janine says, do you know how long the smoke is going to last? I think it's going to be out of here by tomorrow. Hopefully. I could already tell it's dissipating in a big way. I think the wind is helping with that, because Midtown Manhattan was just like this still, dry air. The smell is still around now. Hey, Susanna Q4, good to see you. No way. Somebody said it's going to be here through Monday? Oh my God. That's a big problem. If it's going to be here all the way through Monday, I don't know about that. That is nuts. Hopefully not. That is going to be dangerous if this is still around by Monday. Although I am flying back. I got to go to Miami. I got to go back to Miami. I'll be there for a couple weeks. Going to be doing some really amazing things, which I'm very excited about. I should be able to key you guys in on that very soon here. But I think I'm going to fly out maybe Saturday. You know, maybe I'll try to get out of here Friday if this NAV says, Tom, we had the wildfire smoke in southern Ontario today. Yeah, I mean, you know, if New Yorkers, right, the people in downstate, think this is bad, my God, upstate New York, you know, I was talking to some friends way upstate in Buffalo, Syracuse, and supposedly over there is way worse than it is here. You can see the traffic backing up on the bridge headed to the Manhattan side. Jafet Perez says South Florida is under a ton of rain. Really? Hopefully it'll clear up by the time I get there. You can see a lot of photographers are out on the bridge taking photos of the beautiful views with all the hazy smog. Wow, Bill says, Tom, we have smoke all the way in Kentucky. Wow, Justin S. says, yeah, I'm in east of Syracuse and it was very, very smoky today. It's kind of crazy to think about these effects. Now, I remember this time last year we had a very similar situation, not even close to being as bad though. Does anybody remember this? We had the smoke from the fires come all the way across the country to New York from California, but it was not even close to being like this. This is wild. Hey, Annette says, hey Tom, I live in Schenectady and the air is so bad we had a thunderstorm this evening, so that helped. Yeah, I mean, thank God. Yeah, that would be ideal if New York City had like 24 to 48 hours of crazy drenching downpour rain. Hopefully. All right, one more shot of the highway and Manhattan Bridge here. Hey, the Sanity M. This is from the Sanity Machine. High fives, Tom. Hey, thank you so much. We have a lot of, you know, I've noticed we have a lot of Canadian viewers, and I appreciate that. So thank you to all of our Canadian viewers and the Sanity Machine for your very kind donation. Hopefully you guys are all safe and sound up there. I mean, the fire happened up where you guys are, not here. So hopefully you're all set and safe. But you know what I think I'm going to do, guys? Because I'm starting to actually feel the smoke in my sinuses. I'm not going to lie. I think I'm going to cut the stream short. once we get across the bridge, right? I think we covered all we needed to cover today in terms of the financial markets. We mainly spent the majority of the live stream today talking about the Securities and Exchange Commission with Gary Gensler suing both Binance and Coinbase. But for the past year, we've been really warning about this, to stay away from a lot of these alternative cryptocurrencies, because my prediction was that they are going to be classified as securities, and that's exactly what we're seeing now. So we'll watch this closely. We'll see how this unfolds. Now, I always like to point out this building. This is 130 William right here. This is one of my favorite new developments in all of New York City. Right here, 130 William. If I had the opportunity to live there, I'd probably choose 130 William. It's an unbelievable place. I've showed it to you guys before, and hopefully we'll be able to show you the inside very soon. But if you guys enjoyed the live stream today on this very foggy and hazy night in New York, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We should be back tomorrow at 8:30, assuming it's not as foggy as it is today. Hopefully not. Hopefully this will all clear out. But until then, thank you so much for joining. And we will see you soon. So B Cruz, thank you so much. Dusty Cole, Sunshine After Rain, Dan Zhang, all of our moderators, Joe Driver, Steph UH, appreciate it. Ryan Beck, Sparks Carnival, Jason Wyatt, Legend, thank you. FredX, Hawaii, thank you for joining. Hey, Cooking Bros here, Marty Lewis, always appreciate you. KK says love the stream tonight. The LT Prod, Meld, thank you so much. Golden City, Hang with Mark Mom, always a pleasure talking with you. Julia, Prodman, Everything in Miami, good to see you. Gina Thomas, thank you for your support. Susanna Q4, Sally, Richard Vogel, TK Porsche, Yogi, Deborah from Brooklyn, where we just were. And there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. We'll see you guys right back here tomorrow night, live from New York City on Walks in Wall Street. Dusty Cole, appreciate it. And FredX, can't forget FredX.